Hey guys! In this video I'm going to be testing out the Warrior palette by Juvia's Place for the first time. I'll share swatches and a demo for you guys. So the Warrior palette is a gorgeous 9-pan palette from Juvia's Place. The palette is a warm tone neutral palette. It has 3 matte shades and 6 shimmers, which I think is a really nice mix for a neutral palette like this. With a neutral palette like this, you don't really need more than the 3 tones of brown that you get in here. You have a highlighting shade, an ice cream shade, and then a deepening shade. And then you can spice up those 3 mattes with a different type of shimmer depending on what your mood is that day. So I personally don't think you need any more mattes than what you have in here. I'm gonna start this look by highlighting my brow bone with the NYX Born to Glow highlighting palette. And I'm using this white gold shade from the top row. Then I'm dipping into the Warrior palette and I'm starting with this light beige shade called a Hosey. And I blend that into my crease to get a very nice transition color going there. This beige shade works really well for my skin tone and for prepping the crease area for darker colors, as well as making sure that the highlighting shade is very nicely blended. The shade is very easy to work with, it's soft and buttery, and I had no problems at all blending it anywhere. Then on that same brush I take the shade Cano, which is the medium brown shade, and I place that in my crease as well to deepen up the transition a little bit. I'm really impressed with how the mattes in this palette perform. They're really nice to work with. They're not patchy and they don't skip or anything like that anywhere. They just blend out really nicely. I previously tested out the Nomad palette also from Juvia's Place, and I found that a couple of the shades there were a little bit hard to work with. So it's a very nice surprise to see with this palette that it's so easy to work with. It's really low effort to get a nice blend with these ones. Then I take a mix of the 2 shades I just used, and I apply that along the edges of the medium brown shade to create a very nice transition and to make sure it's all very nicely blended. Then I take the medium brown shade on an angled brush and I start to stamp that along the outer half of my lower lash line, just to get some definition going there. I picked up this light champagne color called Moremi on a packing brush and I applied that all over my lid. This shimmer applies really nicely, even with a brush. It's almost as if I applied it with my finger, it goes on that smoothly and that nicely. I very much like it when shimmer shades apply like this with a brush, because it's possible to get much more detail with where you place it when you use a brush rather than when you use your finger. So that's a definite plus for this palette, that it has such nice shimmers to work with. And my brush is dry here, I haven't applied any setting spray or anything to make it pick up the color more. I even tried applying it with my finger to see if it would bump up the intensity, and I don't really think it made a difference. So I think you can actually apply it any way you prefer, whether it be with a brush or with your finger. Then I added a little bit more of the medium brown to this inner part of my crease because I felt like it was a little bit bare. I wanted to play around with another shimmer and see if it was as nice as the first one I used. So I picked up the shade Bagua on a small detailing brush and I'm applying that along my lower lash line all the way across. This shade performed pretty much the same as the light champagne color. It didn't go on as smoothly, but later I figured out that it was the brush I was using, because once I switched brushes, it applied just as wet looking as the first shade. So I think that the 2 shimmers are basically the same quality and has the same performance. I'm just using the NYX highlighter to highlight my inner corner, and I make sure that it connects nicely to the shimmer shade on my lid. I go back to the medium brown shade on my angle brush, and I use that to create a shadow wing on my eyelid. Then I dip that same brush into the deepest brown shade called Mino, and I go over that shadow wing one more time. I focus this darker brown a little bit lower and closer to my lash line than the first one, And I feel like that this dark matte has the same performance as the other two mattes, so it's a very consistent palette overall, I think. And then I take a small detailing brush and I blend it all out to get a sort of smoky winged effect. I took the deep brown shade and I deepened it up a little bit more just along my lash line and on the bottom of the wing. Then I went back into the gold Bagua shade and I winged out my lower lash line as well, so I kind of have this double wing effect. I felt like this look was very in line with what the Warrior palette embodies. You know, with the warm golden shades and the double wing. And I kind of feel like it fits very well with the theme. I then took a little bit of concealer on the back of my hand. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer in the shade light Ivory. And I used that to carve out the bottom gold wing because it wasn't as crisp as I wanted it to be. And I also applied some of the concealer in between the two wings so that it was very obvious that it was two wings and that it wasn't just two shades blended together. I also carved out along my lash line and then I made sure that it was all nicely blended into my face. I feel like this palette is so nice to work with. I don't have a single complaint with this one. I feel like you get everything you need with the 3 matte shades and then the bunch of shimmers to play around with. The palette is very warm toned, so if that's your thing, I think you will really like this one. And I think that this is the sort of palette that needs to be in a neutral lovers collection. Especially since I also tried the Nomad palette, I'm really pleasantly surprised with how well this performs. Not that the Nomad palette is necessarily bad and it has a very nice shimmer as well, but the performance and quality of this palette just went above and beyond what I had expected, so that was very nice. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, I hope you'll consider doing that right now. I post new videos every week. And if you like this type of video, leave a like so I know to do more of them in the future. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in my next video.